Back at the county election board. What a great spot, Daniel Matthews.
Yeah, one of the most important spots in our town, where everybody gets to make their voice heard, and a lot of important work happens here. And so we're thankful to all the staff here at the county election board for letting us have a little conversation and talk about the importance of all that we have coming up.
Patricia Carter, our election board secretary, does a great job over here, and we are talking about the election happening on Tuesday, June 13th, because there are 7 pieces of our charter as far as the municipality of Shawnee goes that we're going to be talking about on Tuesday. And we've done numerous videos on all 7 of those, and I've asked Daniel, Commissioner Daniel Matthews, and you're Commissioner of Ward 1.
Ward 1, yeah, northeast part of town, and excited to represent, and it's such an honor to represent the citizens of Shawnee and get to talk to you today.
And that's what's kind of fun, because the first proposition is about ward voting. And ward voting would mean, Daniel, that your neighbors in your ward, if Proposition 1 passes, your neighbors in your ward would be responsible for voting for you or for an opponent, but you guys would make your own decision as a ward.
Yeah, currently we have at-large voting, where all the citizens in the city vote for each commissioner, even though we are ward restricted in the actual area we represent. This would be a change where only people in your ward would vote. I'm excited to say, when I was reelected in 2022, I won both the at-large and the ward. So, I mean, that's something I'm proud of, that the citizens of my ward had the trust in me to place me in that office. But this would kind of define it, so that if we look at the federal level, right, we have the House, which is kind of voted on by a territory, the Senate, which is voted on by the entire state. This would be the House model, where your ward and only your ward votes for you. So I'm happy to support Resolution 1.
Come on in, guys.
Resolution, ward voting, I think, is really important. It's something so that all areas of our community are represented equally and well, and make sure that voices are heard on a small scale.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer that every decision, or as many decisions as possible, should be made as close to your dinner table. Like for my family, I want as many decisions pertaining to my family made as close to my dinner table as I can. And I think this is a way that we can make a decision about who represents our area of town closer to individual dinner tables. So from day one, when I was in the commission seat, this has been something that I've been passionate about and supported from day one. And so to finally get it to the ballot, I think is a great thing. It takes time because charter changes are a big deal.
Yeah.
And so we've been working on this progressively. And so I'm excited to get it on the ballot, and I'm excited. I'll be voting in early voting, which I think by the time this airs will be going. And so I'm excited to get right back in this building for early voting and cast my vote in favor of ward voting. And so I just want to encourage everyone to get out and study the issues, but I'm excited and proud to vote yes on Proposition 1.
And Proposition 1, again, ward-specific voting. And for you to actually study the issues, it's not hard. You can do it from your CPU or from your phone. Simply go to ShawneeOK.org. Up in the right corner, you're going to see you can do a drop-down menu, and you choose government, and under that drops down mayor and commissioners. When you hit that page, go to the sub-menu there in the middle of the page, drop all the way to the bottom, and you'll see charter voting. And if you hit that, it's going to take you to the information page where the city has been keeping up to date with frequently asked questions, almost 60 questions now handled right on that site. But also, it has just a two-sheet page identifier that gives you all the information that you need. There's a lot of live links right there to give you, if you can dive as deep as you want to into all 7 propositions. Now, in our charter changes, Daniel, there's a few of those that were like 4 out of the 7 are really all about bringing us into conjunction or into coordination with state law and state statute or federal law and federal statute. Talk as to why that's important for residents.
I think it's important. 4 of the 7 are really cleanup issues. Our charter is an old document. It's been around. It's how our city was founded. We are a charter city, meaning we have a city charter. In some areas,
which is similar to a constitution, if you think it's
similar,
that way.
And I think there are some areas of our, the way I look at it and read it, maybe our charters are more detailed than it needs to be as far as the charter should be big ideas. And so
it should be a framework.
a framework, absolutely. A framework under which policies and all of our city codes and such fall under. And by being specific, it's allowed, as state and federal laws have changed, our charter hasn't necessarily changed to keep up with it. I think we've seen through this process, changing the charter is hard, and it should be hard. It should be a strenuous process. We know that each change will go to the vote of the people. It then has to go to the governor to sign off on. And so they're telling us, even after the election next Tuesday, it could be 6 to 9 months before these are formally adopted, because we don't control the pace at which the state moves. And so by having specific things in there, I think they're like
prescribed things, meaning you can do this, can't do this, rather than saying this is the framework in which you have to work.
Yeah, so there's more policy than framework in some areas, and so by changing this into more, the state and federal rules and regulations have changed at a pace faster than our charter is able to keep up with. And so this is a modernization. It's in some ways bringing us into compliance with federal and state law and charter, which we're required to be in compliance anyway. So this is a cleanup that needs to be done. Important, but that's at its heart, that's what it is. It's to bring us into compliance with state and federal law.
Well, one thing that is also a cleanup, but not state compliance, would be our timing of the newly elected officials and how they get sat.
Yeah, the charter was very specific on how they are sat, and as we've changed meeting schedules, we've changed things like that. It caused a rub, and so this is simply a cleanup to bring us into compliance. Or as we change the schedule, this is the new way that they will be set.
Yeah.
And simple, easy.
Yeah.
In my mind, not controversial. And
and also in the new language, it sets a framework rather than a policy.
Right.
So that in future, if those change dates occur, the wording in the charter would be a framework that would still keep us in line, but we could change them nimbly.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what it needs to be. A framework that allows elected officials to move within that framework as things modernize. We won't run into these problems again because we're changing the charter to comply with state and federal law.
Right, or to reference state and federal law. So another one similar to that would be the perpetual care, the number 7 with the cemeteries. There's work that needs to happen at the cemeteries, and right now our local government is handcuffed with funding for that cemetery and how it's available to be used. And so thus, rather than taking it through an ordinance that could change it, we have to change the charter.
Right. So in order to have it where we can change it by ordinance, we have to first change the charter to allow for that. And I think all of us believe our cemetery should be maintained and cared for. Obviously, the respect we have for those, our friends, our loved ones, our neighbors who are interned at those places, we want to treat them with honor, dignity, and respect.
Right.
And this would allow us to make sure that always happens.
Yeah, and another one would be, like, for example, the lakes, in the sense of things at the lakes. For the last 2 years, the lake has been a lot of focus for a lot of residents around town because there's so much potential out there, but we really can't change anything for the better for everybody unless we change the charter.
Right, and this is an area I think where we talk about framework, right? And our current charter gets kind of into the weeds on policy.
Yeah.
And so for changing it to allow, in my mind, this is the way I'm looking at it, it allows the city government, city representatives, elected officials to be more responsive to the desires of the people, right? We know that, I mean, you're right, the lake is an important asset. It's a unique asset in our community. And for the last 2 years, we've kind of been engaged in more listening. I mean, there's been a very robust Lake Advisory Committee that the city's put a lot of time, a lot of resources, and welcomed a lot of voices and input from the community. And in some ways, here now we've invested 2 years of input from the community, and we have a charter that prescribes very specifically, you can do this, you can't do this, and the city officials, whether it be staff or elected officials, hands are kind of tied.
Well, actually, city residents' hands are tied. If the city
Well, true.
residents are saying, hey, we want this, you need to change it, it's actually city residents as a whole.
Right, where I was saying it ties the hands of
You to
as
do
a
anything.
commissioner. If 99% of the residents want something to happen and it's not in the charter, we can't even vote on it. And so this would allow, it really makes it more nimble for for residents to express, hey, we want the lake to head this direction. And it allows the city to be more responsive to the needs and desires of the residents, as opposed to, again, I think we've kind of gotten into this a lot, like the charter should be a framework document under which our codes and policies are then fall in compliance and under. And in this area, it's more of a policy document. And so this will allow us to actually be more responsive, as you said, to the desires of the citizens, which I think is a good thing. Anytime the government can be more responsive to the needs and wants of the citizens, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And so, and then I think it goes to, if we're not responsive, they have the opportunity to vote us out. And so,
We have the opportunity to vote
yeah,
all out.
by ward.
Because it's like, Commissioner, you're really a resident volunteer as well. And everybody gets a voice, and this helps your voice have more impact. So I'm going to run down the list of propositions if you've hung with us through this. Proposition
God
1,
bless you.
ward-specific voting for commissioners. Proposition 2, streaming the bidding process. Process number 3, clarifying start date for newly elected mayor and commissioners. Proposition number 4, updating requirements for city employees. Proposition number 5, aligning conflict of interest policies. Proposition number 6, updating the recreational use policy for Shawnee Twin Lakes. And proposition number 7, updating the policy for cemetery perpetual care. Do you have a favorite of these? Go online, back this up. We guide you directly on how to get to the information that you need to cast an educated vote.
Just want to encourage everybody. I mean, it is an important deal. This is a great opportunity, an important opportunity for the citizens of Shawnee to voice how they want the charter to go, how they want the future of our community to look like. And if you didn't get the opportunity to either vote by absentee or early voting, make sure that you get out on Tuesday, June 13th, at your normal polling place and cast your vote, because every vote matters, your voice matters, and this is an opportunity to express that voice. And so I'm excited to get out. I'm excited to, my wife, we're headed to the polls, and we're excited to express our opinion just alongside everyone else. So.
And I do this with everyone, and I do this in love, to say that when the commissioner says you, it's actually we, because the commissioners and all of the sitting commissioners are just one of us. We are all in the same boat in order to try to take this community further, because together we build community one season at a time.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.